Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor Wyatt, and I'm the Education Coordinator at Omaha Performing Arts. Thank you so much for joining us today for this College Audition digital workshop led by Katie Pohlman. If you have any questions throughout the workshop, please make sure to put them in the chat, and please keep yourself muted at all times. As a note, we will be recording this workshop. Now, please help me welcome NHSTA alumni and dance captain of the first national tour of BANDSTAND, Katie Pohlman.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to talk to you guys today about college auditions. But before we get started talking about that, here's just a little bit about me. Again, my name is Katie Pohlman. I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, and like Taylor said, I participated with NHSTA in high school. Upon graduating from Scott Catholic High School, so hi Scott, I see you guys down there. I attended Oklahoma City University and got my Bachelor of Performing Arts in Dance Performance. I graduated in December of 2018, and then I moved to New York City, where I completed Broadway Dance Center's professional semester and did the whole audition scene in New York, which is where I landed the first national tour of BANDSTAND. I was the swing and dance captain. So just some of these pictures, that's me in New York. And then audition pictures never stop, even after you get into school, because there's so much more even after school to come. So audition pictures will be a part of you for the rest of your life. And then that final picture is me in my costume from BANDSTAND. So a little bit about why I felt like this workshop was important. So when I was in college, during the summers, I was fortunate enough to work at Music Theater Wichita. So it is a summer stock theater in Wichita, Kansas. Basically what we do is over the course of 10 weeks, we put on 5 full-scale musical productions. So we would rehearse all day, and then for about 10 days, and then we would tech the show for 3 days, and then we would perform for about 3 days, and then we would move on to the next show. So my experience there was super beneficial to me. The leads for those productions were all equity actors that were brought in from sometimes current Broadway shows. Like sometimes the performers that I was working with were like, "Oh, I took my 2-week leave from Broadway to come do this show in Kansas with you guys." It was such a cool experience. So that's who made up the leads. But the ensemble for the summer was made up of 15 girls and 15 boys from around about that from multiple different performing arts programs around the country. So the 30 of us college students basically lived and worked together for about 10 weeks. I participated with Music Theater Wichita for 4 summers. So over the course of my time with them, I was in 17 musical productions, and it was such a cool experience. But living with these fellow college students, a lot of what we talked about was our college programs. So I feel like throughout my experiences there, I've gained a lot of knowledge about the audition processes, what some schools have to offer versus other schools, simply because these conversations that I had with my peers were so fascinating to me. And I am super excited to share all of this information with you all today. So just getting started, for bare bones, when you start looking for schools, when you have the thought of, I think I want to pursue this as a career, and you want to start looking into college programs that match that, you have to do your research. And I'm sure you've been told that multiple times. Use the internet as a tool because it's there for you. I don't even think there are a lot of resources besides the ones on the internet now. There used to be like magazines, but I don't even think those are around. Everything is online. And if it is in a hard copy, it's also probably online. So you can find it. The resources are out there. When you start to look for schools, though, remember that there are the sort of like bigger, well-known, well-established programs in the country that are well-established and well-known for a reason, because they do produce incredible performers and theater technicians. However, there are also a lot of hidden gems that people don't always know about, and those require a bit more digging and a bit more research. So my advice is to not stop with the programs you already know about. Keep digging. Find a couple programs that are lesser known but still super strong. And I encourage you to also look into those programs as well. If you ever have a question about a program, the email on their website is there for a reason. If you have a question, somebody out there has an answer for you. You just have to ask it. And sometimes that can feel very forward and very putting yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit. But taking that step to reach out to schools with questions is such an important key of making sure that you have all the information that you need to make your decision about what school to attend. Um, and then my other advice, and I'll go into this a lot later, but if you get the chance, talk to a student or an alumni of the programs that you're interested in. No one knows the school as well as someone who attended it. Especially because talking to professors and talking to um, like teachers and people who have like come in and out of the school is great. But until you talk to someone that can say, I woke up and I went to my math class and then I went to my voice lesson, those are the people who understand what the program is all about. So I actually, for all of you guys that are attending today, I have a list of schools that I have worked with someone who has attended that school, and I would love to put you into contact with either a current student or an alumni of the program. And Taylor has that list that she can share with all of you. But truly reach out to me. We'll also be posting my website information. Reach out to me because something that I love about the theater community specifically is how human everyone is. We are all just normal people. Like we are all experiencing the exact same things, and most of us are kind of waiting for these people to reach out and ask us like for help or like we're available to you. Use us as a resource. So if there is a specific school that you are interested in, I would love to help put you into a contact from that school. Okay, moving on to like the next thing. So after you've kind of done your research and you've narrowed it down to programs that you like, go a step further with it. And something that I did a lot when I was in high school that I think was, and I still do this, find performers that have careers that match what you want in a career. So I have a couple Broadway veterans who I immediately come to my mind. And when I think about them, I think those are the people who, if I had a career like that that's my ideal career. Most of them for me are dancers in ensembles. That's who I'm drawn to. So have some of those in your head and then look up where they went to school. That should be your first point because the training that they received is probably going to be comparable to the training that you also want to receive. Going off of that, save your playbills and your programs as you see shows. And then right now, go to playbill.com and go through the vault because where a good place to find new schools that you might not have heard about before is in the biographies of the performers. So most performers list where they went to school. So if there's a certain character in a certain musical that you've always thought of as a dream role, go to Playbill, find who played that on Broadway, and then go research where they went to school. That's a really good just like jumping point as well. When you're kind of just like, other than just like Googling like performing arts schools, because that's going to give you like a million hits, but narrowing your search of finding specifically what's going to work for you. Getting a little bit more into that, when it comes to choosing a program that you are interested in, really focus on what your strengths and weaknesses are. So being able to acknowledge your weaknesses is just as important as being able to acknowledge your strengths. And then you have to find a school that tailors to both of those things. So, for example, I grew up dancing. Like I started dancing when I was 2. And then I didn't do my first musical until I was about 14. I was in 8th grade. So that's when I was like, oh, I really like musical theater. And then once I got into high school, I continued to do musical theater and show choir, but then I also kept dancing. And I knew that dance was sort of my number one love. Okay. So there's a sort of like a backhand to all of that, and that is that I knew I needed a stronger voice if I wanted to continue in musical theater. So when I was looking for college programs, I knew that I was a strong dancer, but I knew that I needed um, a strong vocal program. So when I had it narrowed down to my final 2 schools, one of them would have been very helpful to my voice, but they did not have the strong dance program that I want. And then on the other hand of that, the program that I did end up choosing at Oklahoma City University, I was a dance program in itself, but they offered such strong vocal classes and voice lessons that that's the program that I chose because I was able to focus even more on what I was strong at and supplement it with what I still wanted to work on. For other people, though, that answer is going to be different. So I could have made the decision that I wanted a very strong vocal program because I knew my dance was already strong. So that's a really good example of like you have to find exactly what you're looking for specifically in a program before you can make the decision. Um, so once you've narrowed it down and you've kind of chosen, I would say narrowed it down to well, okay, I'm gonna try to avoid numbers for numbers' sake, simply because I have friends who auditioned at like sometimes like up to 25, 30 schools. I only auditioned at 4. So it varies so much. And a lot of it is access to how many auditions you can get to and timing, and there's so many factors to it. But once you have it narrowed down to a pretty good number of schools, to a point where you say, I like certain things about each school, it's time to look further into the school itself. So, as always, I would encourage you to visit the campus during these like interesting times. That's not always possible, but take full advantage of the virtual tours that are online, especially ones where someone is like walking around or like video panning, like walking down a sidewalk. Those ones I always think are the most beneficial because you can imagine what it's actually like to be there. So definitely look into the programs. It's always good to see the facilities you're going to be working in, especially because our craft is not something where you just walk in and you sit down at a random desk, right? Like there's so much more to it. If you're a dancer, what is the floor like? If you're more of a singer, what are the practice rooms like? Do you have access to them at all times? Like different things like that that you're going to want to know going into your program. Something that's very important to remember is that schools are interested in students who are interested in them. If you are looking into your first choice school, you're obviously going to be very interested in that school. As you drop further down your personal list, always remain interested in the school when you're visiting and asking questions. Nobody wants to accept a student that's like kind of wishy-washy about whether or not they want to go there. You have to approach every single visit and audition like that is your number one choice. This picture means actually it means a lot to me. When for BANDSTAND, we rehearsed in New York for 2 weeks, and then we teched the whole show in Oklahoma City, where I went to school. So it was very cool. Almost exactly 1 year after I had graduated, I was back teching a national tour where I went to school. So for one of our previews, the dean of the school with the glasses, that's Dean Mel, she attended, Ann Lacey on the left, she is who the school is named after, so it's the Ann Lacey School of American Dance. She attended, and then on the right, one of my heroes, who I'll talk a little bit about later, Joe Rowan. It was very cool that they all got to attend a preview of the show that I was a part of after just graduating from there a year later. But what I'm saying is these people are also people who are looking to be proud of their alumni once they graduate. So make sure that you remain interested in the schools, even when you're not 100% positive that that's the school you're going to be attending. Always remain as, remain as interested and as captivated as possible in that particular program. Another one that's super important when you go to these schools, ask smart questions. Show that you did your research. If the answer to your question can be found on the front page of their website, it's going to be really obvious that you have not quite looked into the school, like into the program, like they would expect you to. So make sure that you really, really do dive into their website and dive into all of their social media. Make sure that you know about the school as much as you can. An intelligent question to ask is something to the effect of, I noticed on your website, or I noticed you posted on Instagram this. Could you tell me a little bit more about that? That sounds captivated. That sounds like you're interested. That shows that you have taken the time to do your research about the school. So make sure that you ask very smart questions. And again, like I said earlier, don't ever hesitate to send an email to an email address that's on a website. It's there for a reason. There's always an answer to your question. You just have to find it. Okay, this part's fun. When you do your college auditions and your visits and everything like that, make friends with everyone around you. So the people that so make friends with the upperclassmen, make friends with the other auditionees, because those are the people that are going to be with you during your time at the school, but then also beyond that. Typically, everyone in a program kind of has maybe not the exact same goal of like this show, but like everybody has the idea that they're going to enter into the professional performing arts industry. So once you graduate, no one leaves. Everyone sort of stays in the same industry. You never know. A lot of people say you never know who's listening, you never know who's watching, and that's so true. You do never know who is going to be like walking past you as you're having a conversation and things like that. But you also never know who the auditionee sitting next to you is going to become. So a bunch of the people that I went to school with actually now work in upper level management at Disney World. So like those are people who I mean, when I was in school, we were all just like going to class together. Like I was in math class with them. Like it didn't seem significant, but now they have a job that they could potentially give me a job. So it goes a lot more beyond just like save face in front of the adults, I guess is kind of a good way of saying that. And it goes into like, be friends and be kind to everyone around you, because those are the connections that are going to get you places. Same thing with when you're a senior and you're auditioning for a program, the freshmen that are attending the school when you are a senior in high school will become your friends right away when you enter into the school. So those people that are there that seem like much older than you and like they've got it all together, that's going to be you in a year, and you're going to be right in there with them. Once you get into a program, make friends with the seniors and upperclassmen. They've clearly been there the longest. They know the ropes. But beyond that, there was a senior when I was a freshman. Her name's Jessie. I was like, okay, Jessie's one of the coolest people ever. I want to be just like her when I'm a senior. And I thought the world of her. And so at the end of my first semester freshman year, we were teching our big Christmas show. So we were holding for lights or something, and we were holding for like 25 minutes. And her and I were backstage. I was dressed like an elf, and she was dressed like a cute, like Santa girl thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, Katie, talk to Jessie. Like, you're standing right next to her. So I literally turned to her and I was like, Jessie, I think you're so cool. And in my head, I was like, why did you say that? Why did you say that? But we struck up a conversation, and she was a senior, I was a freshman. And we talked for a while, and she actually ended up being probably my closest connection to New York. She graduated then that May, moved to New York. Um, a year after I met her, I slept on her couch in New York City when I went there for a week. And she was like kind of my bridge to the professional world. So in college, if I ever had a question about something happening in the audition circuit or something happening just in New York, I knew that I could text her and she would be like, oh no, yeah, for sure. Like, let me like FaceTime you, or let me get you that answer. So having that connection is something that I established in school that carried into the professional world, which is exactly what school is supposed to be. Your training program is your bridge to the professional world. Jessie is actually now the fight captain, assistant dance captain, and swing for the first national tour of Frozen. She is awesome. So hopefully, yeah, we'll see her soon, but she's really, really great. But having that connection into the real world, is the professional world while still in school, is very important. And it's something to ask schools about, of like, how will you help me once I graduate? Okay, so that's all sort of like visits, doing your research. Now let's get a little bit more into the actual audition. So, the number one rule of any audition is be prepared. You have to be prepared. So I'm going to ask you to think about two scenarios. Okay. The first scenario is, I want you to think about a time that you attended a rehearsal for something. You left rehearsal and you really practiced. Then I want you to think about how you felt when you came back to the next rehearsal, having practiced. Okay, that's scenario one. Scenario two is, I want you to think about a time that you went to a rehearsal, you left the rehearsal, and you only thought about what you did at the rehearsal. You never stood up and actually did it. You just thought about it. You went over the choreo in your head, you like reviewed the lyrics in your head, and you just really thought about it. And then think about how it was when you came back to the next rehearsal. So they're very similar instances. And I think that if you talk to anyone, they can say confidently that they've been on both sides of those situations. There have been times where you stand up and you run the dance with the music, or you sing it out loud and you practice it. And there are times when you really think about it. So when it comes to your college auditions and getting ready for that audition, you have to latch on to the first one. You are going to feel so much more confident and so much more comfortable if you truly stand up and practice what it is you're about to do for them. It's good to be thinking about it and to be having it on your mind and constantly going over, okay, this is how this is going to go. This is how this is going to go. But until you stand up and physically do it, you can't experience the same kind of connection with your material. Definitely practice strong. Practice wrong, fix it, record yourself, watch it back. But you have to make sure that you feel really, really comfortable with whatever it is that the material you chose. Choosing your material, when it comes to choosing what songs you're going to sing. For my dance program, we had to present a 1-minute solo. Whatever it is your material is, it is not a one afternoon project. It is not I'm just going to sit down and figure it out. Eventually it's going to get to that point, but it has to go through so many more steps before it can get to that point. Um, you should have several pieces sort of working. You should be singing several songs and working on several pieces of music and several monologues so that you can truly sit down with them and say, this is the one I feel the most comfortable with, and I know I'm good at it. Because sometimes it takes a couple to reach that point. And maybe you're working on 4 songs or 4 monologues, and you're just like, I know this is the one. Keep working on all of them, but know that that's your one. There's nothing wrong with that. Never go into an audition, though, with only one thing prepared. You always want to have lots of stuff prepared. Um, which kind of leads me more into your actual audition book, especially for music. You should be able to hand that book to anyone on the street and they would be able to understand your markings. Like solid lines, like start, the word start, and that's it. The word end, and that's it. The clearer and the fewer markings there are on your book, the more solid and the more professional and presentable that you're going to appear. Like everything, bring absolutely everything you are going to need. Every dance shoe you've ever owned is kind of like the rule of it. If you're a dancer, bring knee pads. For some reason, that seems to be the one thing that nobody ever brings that a lot of people ask for is knee pads. But a lot of choreographers want dancers to have knee pads. I don't know why, but that's a little tidbit. And then finally, and I'll get into this in the next section as well, read all of the directions very, very carefully. There is someone that put up a list of instructions or directions or what to bring, and they did that, and it probably got checked over by 7 people before it was sent out. Read it very carefully so that you don't miss anything. And you're doing all of this so that you are more confident and relaxed. If you feel like frazzled in any way, it's going to come across in your audition. Over prepare so that you can feel comfortable and relaxed as you get into the audition. Sort of moving past like in-person auditions, because I think a lot of auditions this year especially are going to be more virtual. Here's kind of like my quick tips on recording video auditions. I've recorded several video auditions. Some of them have been in dance studios, so I've had to like sign up for studio space, or I've rented like small rooms to do little vocal auditions. Some of them will just send sides and then I'll record those. But regardless, these pretty much apply to all video auditions across the board. My number one rule is read the instructions. And that is the most important, especially for virtual auditions, because normally it's a video recording and they are going to expect you to get the video to them in the exact format that they want it. If they don't receive your video, it is impossible for you to get accepted to the school. So make sure that you're very careful in reading every instruction about how to submit your videos. When it comes to actually recording it, find a quiet space with no distractions and make sure that it's also a positive space. If there's like one particular dance studio that you're like, I don't like taking class there, or I had a mean teacher there, it can be so small. Don't use that studio. Find a space that you can confidently stand in that room, present your material for the best you can, and just be completely yourself. So make sure it is a positive space. My other piece of advice is create a test video. Your first go at your college audition recordings should not be the one that you probably end up submitting. And the way that you can ensure this is allowing yourself enough time and practice. So make sure that when you do your recording, your test video is what we'll call it. Make sure to check the lighting and check the sound. So as you record your first one, play it back, not only so that you can watch the way you performed the material, but so that you can watch for every aspect of the video. Is the light hitting my face weird? Is the sound muffled? These are all things that can be adjusted sometimes just by like adjusting the camera. It's so slight, but they're things that you don't want to look back and be like, oh, I should have done that kind of thing. So make sure that you check for those things. If you are wearing heels in your video, wear your heels when you test your video because it's going to affect the camera height. And on that note, just wear what you're going to wear. If you feel confident in it, wear it. I think there are so many rules about like, you should probably wear like a jewel tone or things like that. Wear what's going to make you comfortable. Wear what makes you comfortable. Yeah. I mean, I have like the same audition top and I change it out from a skirt or leggings. That's like kind of where I go for dance calls. Or I have like two dresses. One's more modern, one's like a little bit more contemporary or like a little bit older, classic. And I feel super confident in them. And that is what matters. And comfortable. You do not want to be uncomfortable in whatever it is you're wearing. Make sure you can breathe properly. And you just feel like yourself. They want to see you. Make sure that when you do these recordings, you block out a very significant amount of time. Make sure that you're not rushing or if you have a 2-minute video to record, I would say give yourself an hour because you want to make sure that you can do it enough times over and over again. If you want to keep trying it out, or then that way too, if you're like, oh my gosh, I just got that one, I got it, that was it, then you can move on and still feel comfortable and relaxed without feeling rushed. When it comes to putting your video together to submit, do not over edit your video. Be very, very simple in what you give to them. They are most likely watching hundreds of these. So you want to stand out because of your talent. Do not be the video that stops them and says like, oh, this one won't work, or this one has like a weird like I don't know. Like, don't be that one. Be the one that stands out because your talent is what sets you apart from everyone else. Let that speak for itself in your video. Remember that the program that you are auditioning for can only thrive if the students put in the work. So a lot of these programs that you're going to be auditioning for are impressive. They are impressive because they have impressive students. Through your research, through your audition, show them that you can also be one of those impressive students. Also remember that all of this is to get you ready for a career in the performing arts. So yes, it seems like a lot of work. However, once you stop and you graduate and you go to wherever it is you're going, and you enter this professional world, all of this happens every single day. You have to research who's going to be in the room, look up what are you going to wear to your audition. Like this is now like the start of what the rest of your career is going to look like. So the sooner you can get a grasp of how it works for you and start to find I think it's fun. Start to find the fun in it. That's when you're going to start to be really successful. Okay, a couple more slides. So I talked about her a little bit earlier, but Jo Rowan is the head of the dance department at Oklahoma City University. She is a real firecracker. She's much older. She's probably in her, I would say probably late 70s. And she does a full ballet class every single day, and she is still doing the leaps and turns across the floor with all of us. But she has these really wise sayings that I think I've carried with me throughout my professional auditions, as well as just like life in general, really. And something she used to say to us all the time is luck is preparation meeting opportunity. And what this means is that you can't rely on luck alone to get you somewhere. The preparation is the key part of it. However, you can prepare and prepare and prepare and prepare. And if the opportunity never presents itself, it's never going to happen. Luck is this like third thing up here that is created when the preparation, all of this hard work that you've put in, lines up correctly with the opportunity. And that is what is that rare thing of like luck that we like to use all the time. That like kind of word. So that goes hand in hand with when you audition for colleges. Your preparation for your college audition and the school that's out there for you are going to line up and create this perfect experience of what you want in a school. And I just use the word perfect, but I don't like to use the word perfect. Make sure that you also just silently acknowledge to yourself that every single school is going to have their weird quirks and issues. And it's just part of anywhere you're going to go to school. No matter what your field is, no matter what your career is, every school is going to have its thing. No school is perfect, but there is a perfect school for you. So we're moving on to my next point. Remember that you are auditioning for a school. You are auditioning for a training program. They want to train you. So they are looking for potential. They want you to be good. They do not want to sit and listen to 100 people sing off key. They want every single person that walks through those doors to be the next star that graduates from their program. They want you to be good. That being said, no one at any school is expecting you to walk in the room and be just perfect. Like, oh, she didn't miss a beat. She was right on the whole time, because that's obviously what we're going for, but they want to be able to train you. They're looking for potential. They are looking for someone that wants to learn, that wants to train, that's ready to eat up all this information and then take that information and better their craft, better what they are working on, and become better. When you graduate, you wear that, like I wear my Oklahoma City University like badge of alumni with pride, because I'm proud of the training I received. And they on the other side of that, they can say confidently that they are proud of their alum because they've taken the training that they received at the school and done something with it. Because the training itself isn't, I guess Jo used to say this a lot. She teaches us, but she doesn't necessarily, she can't do it for us, right? Like she can teach us and she can give us all the information that she can, but only we can make it happen. This is, if you take really nothing else away from this, please, please, please remember this. Your training that you receive determines your future in the business, but where you train does not. Work ethic, dedication, and passion determine your success. So this is going back a bit to what I said kind of in the very beginning. There are incredible schools out there, and they have incredible reputations for a reason, because so many of their alumni have gone on to do such successful things. Playbill always puts out that article that's like, these are the top 10 universities with representation on Broadway. And those are phenomenal schools, phenomenal. The programs are great, the students are great, but that's the key. What makes the program great are the students. A program is not built up of, I mean, it consists of classes and a curriculum, but if there are no students to take the classes in the curriculum, then it just sits there. The students are what make the program successful. And that is where you come in. You have to be a part of making that program successful. So with that being said, these big schools are great, and please, like, go for the school that you're like, never in a million years, go for it. You never know. You really never know. That being said, if there is a smaller, lesser known school that you're like, I don't know, like, no one's really, I don't know, done anything from this school, be the person. If you love the program and you love the classes that they offer, be the person that that school is like, yeah, she was the one that went on and did this, or he was the one that went on and did this, and they really were successful in their career, and they went to our school. So it's kind of a two-way street, because there are the schools that are well known, and they're well known for a reason. However, there are some very, very hidden gems, I like to say, in schools, and I confidently believe that, or like, yeah, I just believe that we have a few of them in Nebraska, that where people go on to do such incredible things that people don't hear about, because there are more than just the, like, Kristen Chenoweths and Jeremy Jordans on Broadway. Like, there are way more than that. Broadway is made up of so many people, and there's people that you don't even know about, and they attended schools that you might not even know about. So just because you might not attend like this big school does not stop you or diminish you from doing anything that you want to do. And I feel like sometimes that gets lost on people, especially when they start to do like 25 or 30 college auditions. You really have to find the program that's going to be best for you. And you have to be willing to put in the work. This is definitely a career where you have to say, all right, I'm diving in head first, because that's what this career really requires, is total commitment. This is another Jo quote that she used to say that I think applies a lot when you, especially when you're looking at entering not only college but the performing arts as a whole. She said, "No man is an island. We need others and we love others. Find a job doing something you love. Income allows you to love someone more than you need them, so you can choose to be with people you love." This was, I would say, drilled into us at OCU. And that is because ultimately you are going to school to form a career, to earn a living. And that last tiny little part of it, the to earn a living part, is not the most important, but also very, very important. You need to make sure that you understand the importance of making sure that you're establishing a career that's going to allow you to pay your rent on your apartment, or small little things like that that you might not be thinking about now, but that's where a lot of the times the school's programs help you after you graduate. So like, kind of like my scenario with Jesse, that connection allowed me a connection into the real world, allowed me time to go to New York, to visit New York and stay with her. And then moving on, I could see how things worked. And that has all led to a career, because a career in the performing arts, the word career insinuates it says a job. It's a job. So you want to make sure that you're going somewhere for school that's going to help you create a career and a job, and help you make the money to be able to live and support yourself. And it's possible. I think that is the part that people don't always like fully believe. It is so possible and doable. And there are so many jobs out there for people in the performing arts industry that do allow you to make a living. So make sure that you are clear in your intentions of, if you want this to be your career, go to a school that's going to help you really understand what that means to you, that you want to be there to make a career for yourself. And with that, that's sort of like my whole presentation. I would love to take your questions at this time. And if you have any questions for me at all, I'll take them in the chat. And then also, I think Taylor's also going to put my website in there. If you ever think of any questions or you ever want to get into contact with me, my website is a great resource as well. And then my email is listed on there as well. And that's my professional email. So feel free to reach out to me by email. I think that, especially in Nebraska, we have so much talent here. And I want the rest of the country to see it. So if anyone ever needs help connecting with a school, or if you have questions about the industry in general, please reach out to me. But if you have any questions at this time, please let me know.
Okay, so we do have one question, Katie, from PAX.
Mhm.
Does Peru State have a good theater program?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. That's in Nebraska, right? Yes. I don't know off the top of my head, but I could definitely look into that for sure.
Absolutely. Research, research, research.
Yeah, and right now we're just in such a digital age that sometimes even typing in like Peru State Theater on Google is going to get you more hits than anything else you could look into. Definitely also check colleges' Instagrams and Twitters. That's where a lot of their latest information is. That's also where you can find a lot of information about shows. And then something that I like to do as well is once you find a program that you like on Instagram or on Twitter, go to the go to like up to like where it says like followers. Click on the people that also follow the like Oklahoma City University dance department. Click on the followers and check out some of the people that go there because they're probably actively posting about the school and about productions they're doing. So that's also another good way to kind of see what's going on in the daily life of students beyond just sort of like the black and white, here's how the program works kind of thing. But yeah, definitely research, research, research.
I was muted. Can you tell us what's a memorable piece of advice another performer and or teacher gave you?
Yeah, a memorable piece of advice. I would probably say I had a teacher one time who kind of sat me down and was basically like, you need to make yourself proud before you can focus on making other people proud. So, what they meant by that is that if you, so like if I, Katie Pohlman, am not proud of the work I am presenting, I cannot already jump to making other people proud. I can't work to please my instructor. I can't work to please my professor or the director or the choreographer. I have to start with making myself proud, which means, did I do all of my research before I came? Did I practice my song and practice my harmony lines enough to show up to rehearsal and confidently be able to sing it? Because if the answer is no, that starts with me. That doesn't go straight to, I need to impress the music director. So I think just making myself proud in turn is going to make others proud.
I love that. That's great. We have another question from the chat. What is the biggest lesson you've learned from what you do? And what are some really great memories that you have made?
Oh, I like that question. One of the greatest lessons that I learned, specifically actually on tour, is that when you enter into this career, it is magical. I mean, you get to do things that you just like, I never thought that I was going to get to be able to do some of the things I got to do and visit some of the cities that I was in. And when BANDSTAND was in Lincoln and like my family was there and the theater department got to come, like there were so many incredible experiences that I will absolutely never forget. One thing that a lesson that I did learn though, was that this is a career. So not every day of your life when you're a dancer and a singer, is going to be like you wake up and you absolutely love what you're doing. Like that is something that you have to kind of understand from the beginning, is that there were some days where I was like, okay, yep, this is my job. I have to show up to work today and I have to give it my all, but it is my job. And that was sort of a lesson that I didn't expect because I loved dancing so much. So I was like, oh, the second I can dance every day for my job, it's going to be magical and perfect. And there were definitely some days where I was like, why does this not feel as magical as it did yesterday? So just learning that once you really get into a career into it, it does become your job, and you do um, sort of get into a routine of it. But then those little magical moments just make everything so much so much more, like it reminds you like, oh yeah, this is why I do what I do. Because when you're waking up at 5:30 to get on a bus that you're going to be on for 8 hours that day, you're like, what am I doing right now? But then you remember, oh yeah, then you get those opportunities like what happened in Lincoln, and you're just blown away by what you get to do for a job. Some of my greatest memories um, all have to do with people. The connections and the relationships that I have made through theater are really just unmatchable. There's and I think this is why theater performers specifically are, I would say, just having a bit of a rough time right now, is because so much of what we do is about connection. So I on tour got to live with I had a roommate on tour. Her name is Sarah. She and I were the female swings, and I have so many fond memories with her of just um, like ordering like food really late at night after a show and just being like, I don't know what just happened, because we were both swung on in the middle of the show, but we were so happy and had so much adrenaline that we couldn't sleep. Like those are the moments that I sort of just hold on to right now. My friends currently are kind of all spread out all over the country, because a lot of us that attended OCU grew up all over the country, and then the friends that I made in New York are now, a lot of them have moved back home. Some of them are still there. I'm in Nebraska. So a lot of us are all over the place. So there's not as much of a sense of community right now, but through different things, we've been able to find that through like Zoom meetups, or the dance videos that people are creating right now are amazing. And just sort of the different creative outlets that people are finding right now have been such a light for the year to see. Taylor actually and I were just talking before the meeting started. My really good friend, Meredith, who I met living in New York, she's one of my best friends. Her and her boyfriend are actually TikTok famous right now because of all of this going on. So it's crazy to me that like she's famous on people's phones. Like that's how people know her. And it's been really cool to see her and her just like take that little journey over there, where she's thought her whole career was shutting down for the last couple months, but really she became like her career just started. So just seeing friends thrive is sometimes just as cool as watching as getting something yourself. Watching a friend book a show and freak out and go celebrate it is just as cool as doing it yourself. And that's the community that really starts with where you go to school, and starts right when you enter and decide that you want to be a part of this incredible industry.
That's awesome, Katie. Thanks for sharing that. Here's another question. Did you end up working with people who did not get a degree in the performing arts?
Yeah, so like in school or like working? Yes. Okay. Actually, wait, I think I understand this now. So like working professionally with people who didn't go to school for it? Is that like what? Okay, yeah, no, totally. Actually one of my one of my really close friends, he got his degree in physics and is actually he was one of the leads on the Hello Dolly tour. So he just randomly was like, I love physics. I don't know what else to do, but I just love to sing, and was like, yeah, I think I need to try. I think I need to try theater. So there's always chance. And this is also something we were talking about. It's never too late. It's always there. It's never too late to enter. Definitely, I would say if at 18 you know it's what you want to do, like really search for the program that you're going to like, because that's where your training is going to happen. But also if at 18, as you graduate high school, you have no idea, or you're like, I don't know, maybe here's something. Actually, my younger sister, she goes to Creighton, and she did high school theater and everything, but she wants to be a teacher, but she also has some credits left, and she's like, I think I want to take voice. And she has a great voice, and it's never too late to sort of get back into it. I think most colleges offer some like looser elective credits. If you like theater in high school, save some of those credits, take voice, take dance, take acting, because that is also the magical thing about it, is it's always going to be there. And you're never too old, you're never too young. Even if you don't want to do it professionally, it's going to be there for you. There's going to be outlets for you to still sing, to still dance, to still perform. So even if it's not something you want to go into like full force, like I'm diving in, just always know that it's still there, and it's always still an option, I guess, is a good way of always looking at it.
Absolutely. That's really great advice. I think we have time for one more question. So what was the biggest surprise to you from what you expected with the college you chose to what your experience was like?
That's a really good question. So the biggest surprise was probably how burnt out I did not expect to get. I mean, dance was always my favorite, and I was so excited because I was taking, like, I think right away I was dancing, well, all throughout college. I danced about 20 hours a week. So like I was dancing all the time, and I had always loved to dance. And in high school, I didn't always get to go to my classes and whatnot. But I knew that once I got to college, I was going to be dancing all the time. It is very easy to get burned out. So when you're taking something that used to be in high school, a sort of like an extracurricular or an activity that you loved, and you're now turning it into something that you're going to be doing all the time, it's not always necessarily your outlet like it was before. It's not necessarily like your hour where you can just escape the world and go to your rehearsal. Now your rehearsal is your world, and there's no escaping. It's where you're going to be, and it's where you have to focus for that time. So make sure that as you enter, you have other things that you like to do in the back of your head, so that you can find other outlets besides just what you're now making into your career. I hope that kind of makes somewhat sense, but.
No, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Well, Katie, we are out of time, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us today and for sharing all of your insight and your experience with all of us here in Nebraska. We appreciate it so much. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Remember that if you have questions for Katie, her contact info is on her website, and I have posted that below in the chat. And then I have also posted the list of schools that she has connections to in the chat as well. And if anybody didn't get those, please feel free to email me and I can send you that list. Or if you missed the website, I can send you the website as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you again, Katie. It's so great to see you, and it's so great to hear about all the incredible things that you're doing. And, we can't wait to hear more after, things get back to a somewhat, normal. But everyone, I hope you had a great time, learned a lot. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to ask Katie. But otherwise, take care and enjoy the holidays next week.
Thank you.
Bye.